Playing it fucking rip. Okay, we're in. No screen.
What up, gang?
What up, gang?
Alright, where's
No
my Spotify?
share chat either.
Nah, shit, puss. No, okay, alright, hold on. We can get that going.
You don't say.
Chris,
Yeah,
it's not your
I'll
fucking
say.
thing to push the talk, you stupid fuck.
No.
I told you his shit was still on.
I just turned my volume off.
I just turned my button. Yeah, didn't turn it off for us.
Don't care. Should have done the same thing, stupid.
Yeah, true. Let me stream with no sound at all.
Yep.
You're so real for that. Fuck, man.
Is this guy even streaming?
Oh, yeah.
Alright, so you
Oh, fucking get to it then.
I didn't know we were streaming. Fucking hell.
Chris, I didn't even know you were joining prior to 5 minutes ago.
Oh. Bro, the only reason...
This is the flip game!
Of course I have to be here.
Didn't I just celebrate my 9th month?
Oh, congrats on 11 months, man.
Did
Where
we
did
skip 10?
the months go?
Where,
Yeah, this year feels like it's going really fast.
This was like a week ago, hello?
Dude, we met you 11 months ago, almost to the date then, because I subbed pretty much the first stream that you came back.
Let's go. Yeah,
That's wacky.
That feels about right.
Hell, that
Chris
doesn't add up.
crashing out over nothing as usual, I see.
What are you talking? Oh my. The fuck am I looking in the background, bro?
Y'all see this shit? Bet your fucking iPhone 17 can't do this. Alright, let's get moving. Oh my god, wait, okay. I didn't look at any of the controls or anything. This way, to where the signs are going.
Oh, there's a jump. There's a jump.
Hoo-ha. Hoo-ha.
Bye, Chris. Fuck! Dude, I'm fucking going.
Oh my god, Persona 4.
Turn it on, turn it on, turn the TV on.
Turn this TV on, turn this TV on.
Flippy tried only holding forward and rotating the camera around.
Flippy didn't know it yet, but the journey back to his Jeffy is going to be very hard.
Bye-bye,
Oh, there's
Suki.
a scoreboard. Oh, the Itch.io test. Lick my balls.
Lick my balls.
Lick my balls.
Lick my balls.
What the hell? Lick my balls.
Oh my god, we gotta wait for this flip guy.
Nah, go.
Looked up
Speed.
and saw
Alright.
a big toy chest.
Speed, I need this!
I need to get there.
There's
My
a fucking
phone is kinda
Stussy
homeless.
S.
Now dawning on him how
Oh my god, it's the
strange
cool
that he
S.
could think
I actually
It's
cannot
Stussy
believe
S.
that is like an actual like ancient simple Spooderman.
remember being able to move on
Redeem
his own
code
before
light blue.
arriving here.
I'm red now.
You bitch! That's my color.
Fuck. Alright, I'm going back to green.
I'm light blue. Oh look.
When you're also
That's
red. Fuck.
Wait, how the fuck did you do that? Is there chat?
What did you what?
What? I don't have a light blue.
Anxiety filled? What's going on, Timon?
Did you? How did the fuck did you redeem the code?
Oh, press
What?
escape.
Oh.
Minecraft double bed. What if I put my Minecraft double bed next to your double bed? And then we had a quadruple bed. Oh, hit it. Oh.
What?
You ever see what it looks like when a phone lays pipe?
Yo! Oh my god, it's so cute. Alright,
This is me at your mum. This is me at your
Anxiety filled? Oh no. What's up?
Give me shared chat now.
We can join it then.
Oh, hold on, wait, let me...
He's so bad
I
at
thought I
this.
sent him an invite.
Oh my god, there's the fucking Spooder man.
Flip tick Chris. There you go, share chat, done.
What is this? Oh, it's a...
Cody
joystick.
asked me why is it glup instead of gulp. The answer, I do not know, do not problem.
You didn't read the last one.
Wait on
I
baby
can't
girl
see
to get
it.
back so I can pick her from the airport.
Glop, glop,
Ding.
glop.
It's been gone too long. So excited! You get her back.
It's been so long. My sovereign
I
lost
thought we
to
were
this
fucking waiting. What
monster.
the hell
Going
is
to be very
this?
hard,
Oh, I'm naked.
I thought, wishing he could take a nap.
I just got my light blue. Okay, never mind. We're good. I was about to rage.
Berserker! Rage! Since last I see my Sovereign, the laptop at Fliptic. Your laptop actually did spend 5 nights at Fliptic's. Also more, but
Yep. Oh. I've got
how did it
secret
turn? Wait, how did it turn
realignment
midair?
techniques. Jump and then spin. Oh.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Oh.
Multiplayer Rage game was not on my.
This cake is
Wasn't exactly
alive.
on my. Yeah.
Yeah, but also you said
Just a
chain together
reminder,
next
Flippy,
year, so
you can jump and turn midair to line yourself up better.
I want to touch that.
there's a. I know what color is that? Black.
Wait, was there a code
Subscribe for
somewhere?
7 months. You fired. Ah, you're the stinky one now. Left to go hang out with family, but it's been an eternity. Damn.
I love
R.I.P.
you when you're back on the climb.
Milk, butter, rope, cream.
I'm bowling. Oh, I'm too fucking good. There's Fruit
Oh
Loops.
shit!
Blah, blah, blah,
Oh no,
blah,
never
blah,
mind.
blah.
This is not Fruit Loops. You fell, didn't you?
I fell.
I cannot believe I just got gold with that. Redeem code. What?
Let me up. Let me up.
It's so fucking difficult, bro.
I'm gonna type exactly. Oops, that's the wrong button. I'm gonna type exactly that. It didn't
Why am
work.
I doing it like this?
What was the answer to this one? Whoa! Montgomery Gator Bubble Game.
There's no way.
Shit. Okay. We're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. We're not good. Thank you for the RGB. How the hell did I get
That's
up
so
here last
sad.
time?
Ugh. Yippee! Yippee! Yippee!
I gotta stop using my fucking spacebar so liberally. I'm just
You
launching
gotta
myself
roll,
off
bro.
this.
Fish out of water.
It's so
got it?
dumb.
Fish out of water. Why would you put
Align.
microplastics in the ocean?
Okay, this is fine. This is so not fine.
Wee! Wee!
Oh,
Alright, guys,
shit.
how many hot dogs do I have for dinner tonight?
Oh, you got left.
Like 8.
That many.
I fucking knew you were gonna say that.
Oh wait, what the fuck was that?
Well, what the hell
Oh!
was that?
Wait, hold right click? Is that a magnet?
Oh, wait, it is. Hold on. Wait, come over here. Chris, fucking let go!
Oh my god! Oh,
Okay, so only one of us needs to... Chris! Oh my god, dude. There we go.
oh! Oh my god!
That was fucking gnarly.
I be hopping?
Ibuprofen.
fuck? My kid
Flippy
heard to
looked
keep her
at
for
the
myself. You
strange
should.
grey cubes scattered around the place. Weird, he thought.
He
They
kept
looked
what?
Unfinished. He shrugged and kept flipping
Both
through.
Huh?
shops.
Oh, what a cozy bathtub.
If you see this, do 3
Perfect
push-ups.
home
All right, I got you.
for
Hold on, I'll be back.
This. 1, 2,
Look at the mountainous stuff.
3.
Is that
I'll
a
do 1
push-up?
for good luck. 4,
All right, I'm back.
Shouldn't a push-up be like
5.
this?
6. Shut up. 7. Get off me.
Guys, my arm's hurt after doing that. I did it way too quick, and I didn't actually.
One-
I didn't do it properly. That hurt.
1 cup flat. Is this how you just make
Flippy
muffins?
approached the
What
cannon
the
aimed
fuck?
straight at the playground. Of course.
Guys, I'm
he jumped
bathing.
right in.
Sorry, look. Look at the bath.
Oh my god, you fit so well in there.
Yeah, there's dialogue in there.
There's dialogue in the bath.
This work? No.
This work?
Oh, what? Surely this works.
Yeah!
Big!
Someone left a default.
This might be
cube in
peak.
here. That's.
Oh my
embarrassing.
god, someone left a fucking default
I'm
cube.
coming. Oh.
Oh,
Oh my god, someone left a default cube.
There might be test color yellow over here.
wait. Gold something. There's a redemption code, and it's
Ah.
half.
Ah.
Yeah, Jackson, I think you need that.
Yes, let me be yellow. Let me be yellow again.
You are
Ooh.
yellow.
Yeah, but that's
Dude.
more yellow.
He's
He's
currently
like a gold
yellow.
right now.
Yippee!
Is that a different yellow? I feel like
Yes,
you
it
just
is.
have stuff on
It's
you
like
now.
it's just a crash test. I don't know. I'm too colorblind to tell them apart. To be honest, they look exactly the same to me.
It's slightly more towards the green.
You're just a
and the
crash
orange.
test dummy now.
I was gonna say this looks more green. I can't tell if it's the lighting. Oh,
How would you know?
like yes. I actually cannot believe I fucking got clowned on by customers today.
They seriously went, that's not red.
Yeah, 3 of them, 3 separate customers at the same time. This is a sticky note.
That's kind of true though.
You already told you on one of her first dates. She wouldn't mind if I did. Hey! Yeah! Slay, we win these.
Obstacle and do not press anything and just jump.
Guys, I'm not listening to him, I'm pressing stuff. Hold on. Okay.
Easy, he thought. Now a few more times.
Alright, you gotta get vertical. Oh yeah! Oh, I'm fucking too good.
Oh!
Flipping with friends is time well spent. I agree, not so, Captain. Welcome in. This game's actually
Alright.
really cute.
The controls actually aren't super horrible.
Shut up! Not you.
Yeah, fuck you, sorry.
Yeah,
I
you
saw
should
how
be
much. I
strong.
saw how much. She's like,
Yeah, it should be happy.
Realign yourself towards the
Fucking bro speaking 5'1".
forward to get momentum and jump.
You sound like the when you like shrink people in Zort and they like that's how you sound to everyone else. I'm sure you are. Alright. What is this? White? Oh Chris, you can be yourself. We can have the white
Chris,
flip
can you
phone.
hit the tutorial again? What the fuck am I doing?
Oh, just roll and jump and you'll
Flippy
if you
felt
jump at the
happy
right
and
time you'll
proud
get
of
launched forward
himself.
heaps.
Ah.
Holy
Ah.
shit, go Zoran!
Jumped too far.
Bro, you got fucking legs.
Hold on. Realign. Ah!
Whoa.
Ah! Yeah!
Yeah.
Yeah! What's this? Oh, it is white. Nah, I like my light blue. Stone Crow! Hello! How you doing?
Bleh.
Yeah.
The
Ooh,
fuck?
that was fucking lit. Am I bread? No, I'm a phone. Oh, Oh shit! It was fucking cool. It's really satisfying to do dumb shit. Wee. Nah, I
I'm
totally
too
don't die
far
here.
away. I'm too far away.
I got clipped by the wall.
Okay. I'm being called a cheater. I'm going back.
What did you do?
You'll see.
Fuck. Fuck shit. Okay.
Fuck. Hoo-ah! Hoo-ah!
Oh
Shock.
god.
Wait. Hoo ha ha.
Hoo-ah!
Whoa! Oh my god. Wait, the high
What is
jump is so
this?
fun.
That's what I'm saying. It's so satisfying.
Fuck.
And like I get, you know, like when you like watch people do parkour and you see them like climb up into a flip and shit.
Hmm.
It reminds me of that, except like cooler because I'm a cell phone. Wee. Let me turn off the game's music. Let me turn it down again, at least.
Fuck.
Game has no music.
Shit.
I'm
I
hearing shit.
panicked. I panicked. I panicked. I panicked.
Ah!
Stop.
Gulp. Hoo-ah! Hoo-ah! I was gonna dedicate. Oh my god, that was fucking cool! Please tell
See
me
ya,
you saw
fuckers.
that.
I did.
Hey!
Yeah, fuckers.
That was so cool. Oh, goodbye, Chris. Little green man. Wait. I'm going back down. Little green man.
Oh. Oh shit.
Welcome to your final challenge, Private. You have to reach the top of this construction. If you manage to do that, you'll be rewarded. Get ready. Sir. Sir. Yes, sir.
Sa.
Oh, this is cool.
Oh my god. Wait, I see another paint bucket up there.
Shit.
I think Chris is already in the next area.
Roses are red, violets are blue. Flipping is hard, and so are you.
You're hard?
No. I'm not the flip guy. Don't ask me.
Oh, true.
Chris is hard? What?
Chris is hard stuck. I'm hard stuck right now.
I give
What
up.
the fuck?
I'm leaving this fucking... Goodbye, Mr. Green Man. Wait, can you magnet me?
Are you close enough?
Hi!
Seeing her fucking phone just
Just a little
levitate.
bit closer to my Jeffy. Flippy thought to himself.
Baba booey.
Bubble boy.
Baba booey. Oh!
Beware muddy.
I can't interact with them. No. I can, but like I can't actually choose the option.
Because it's a demo? Is that a Tamagotchi?
No,
Oh, magnet.
it's
Oh my god, is that a
supposed to
save
be.
file?
So we saved?
Flappy Bird. Flippy
Oh,
Bird, actually.
there's another paint bucket up there. There's a challenge all the way to the right.
Hold on, I'm busy, guys. I'm flipping bird and...
Oh shit.
Oh, I'm dead. I got 16.
Got 5.
I got 18.
Whee!
I leave this.
I just escape.
Okay. Free me. Oh, there's just a person perpetually...
Fuck. I got 34 now.
Who the fuck is Jeff? You are beautiful. Oh, that's nice.
Wooden beams, slanted roofs, feeling of splinters
I
and
need to reckon
details. Jeff would have enjoyed it here.
Oh,
Flippy thought. We spent hours
I
playing
broke
in
it,
the wooden
did.
castle near home. He used
I
to
fell apart.
climb to the very top and call it his fortress, while I played his victory songs from my tiny speaker.
You are beautiful.
Feels
Oh my
just
god,
like
thank
that old
you.
park.
How are you meant
Big
to do
Bandit.
this?
Only quieter, and
I like
I'm the
that.
one doing the climbing now.
Whee!
Oh
Oh, okay,
my
that wasn't too
god.
bad. Nah, that's not too bad.
I know, I'm like, just roll. Just roll.
So I actually wasn't reading half of what you were saying, Timon. Let me catch myself up. Murdoch farted? Okay.
Oh, that's why I called him Stinky.
Oh, your partner went away? And now she's coming home, yeah? Is that what's happening?
Oh, fucking moves. Out the way, bitch. Oops.
There you are. You went to go visit family?
Oh. Thank you. I'm stuck under your thing. Hold on. There we go.
There's a skin over here if you want it.
What is that? Curry?
Holy shit, it's Bert?
That's
It's
it's
Berserk.
a tiger.
Ah.
Dog.
Yeah, she went to visit family for like 10 days.
Here's like Berserk.
Holy berserk. Anyway, there's a skin down there.
Take a deep breath.
Nah, I got my
Flippy.
Lelo skin.
This section demands focus,
Oh.
precision,
Fuck.
and an emotional
Ah,
support plushie.
ah. Anyway, I'm here.
We win these. Bye.
Fuck.
Can
Oh, wait,
I
yeah.
reach
hold on.
that?
Wee.
You can if you know it was
No.
a better spot.
Okay, hold
Keep
on.
pulling me.
How's that?
Wee. Hi.
Hey.
Hello.
Hello? Hello?
I-
Okay, we're good.
Dude, I do not know how I made it up here.
Oh.
What the fuck?
Nice.
That was almost too much momentum.
I don't know if this is easier or harder than Egg Game. Egg Game was like so specific when I played it. I think it was called like Egging On or something. Egg Game was fun. I'm gonna
You
go back
should
and play that
really
again.
try speed running this area.
You
Oh
should
my
try
god,
speed-
it's SpongeBob.
Spongebird?
It's SpongeBob.
Well, look at
Oh, it's
this
Spongebird!
trash coming out of this guy.
Doot, 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 doot.
Flippy couldn't
Woo,
stop
thank you.
thinking about his Jeffy. Perhaps he'll
fuck?
call
What is
qualified
this?
plumbers to dig me out of this place. But how will he call someone? I'm here.
What
Bro,
the
this
he's
phone
fuck?
uses
there.
this phone uses ladders better than I do.
You guys just did that in such sync. Help me. Oh no, we're good.
Crazy skip. Multiplayer skips go crazy.
Imagine the multiplayer speedrunning potential. Woo, thank you.
Ugh. I don't.
I
Oh,
climbed in
fucking head.
perfect fucking sync, bro.
I really like that the jump mechanic is just the vibration of the phone. It's really
Yeah.
cute.
And you gotta be careful when you're magneting people up too, because you vibrate.
If you need some motivation, code sexy flippy escape.
Redemption
Anyone want to
code?
use it? Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
redemption code.
Sexy. Would be.
You're gonna get a Nice spelling.
What?
No, get rid of the escape. Get rid of the escape. This ain't back out of it. Oh, of course, yeah. I'm not surprised. Get a G-bagger on. That's so funny. Whoa! Oh my god, Siren, you're so scandalous.
Dude, my thong is out.
Whoa,
Like,
what is
actually,
this?
this time. Whoa! Why is he the fucking king now?
Uh,
Uh, uh, uh, uh.
put
Put that
that thing
thing of
away.
nah, man. My thing's
I
shaking
can
for
see
everyone to
everything.
see. You see this?
God damn! Sorry.
From the rooftop, Flippy could see
What?
everything, which is a shame
Shift Q?
because everything was trash. The developers have asked me to pass along a heartfelt message.
Fuck you.
They
What
appreciate
to
you.
do?
They
They
adore
adore
you.
you.
They're
Oh.
grateful,
They're grateful
you're
you're
here.
here.
And they desperately hope that you plummet and lose everything. Not out of cruelty, just entertainment value. Best of luck.
Yeah, that's
What
fucked
a
up.
cozy passageway, Flippy thought.
Ugh. Ugh.
That's such a good message.
Thank you, developers. That's really cute. That is really cute. Bye-bye.
Bye, Miney.
And now, the ladder. The ultimate
God damn,
trial
shaking
of
it for your
courage,
kid in
balance,
SMH.
and
Ah,
holding
no,
fast
please,
when
please, please,
nothing else.
please, please. Wait, where the fuck are you guys going?
Bye.
That was part of the plan, right?
Wait, there's a spring here. Okay.
Okay, okay, we're good.
Whee!
Okay.
Dude, the ladder's so cool.
Have you tried
Oh, wrong
jumping
way.
and turning mid-air, Flippy? Helps with alignment. Looks
Just help.
painful.
Just help. Just help. How far does the magnet thing go, actually?
I think it goes down infinitely.
All the way.
Hi, detective. How we doing?
Ah!
Um,
He just
it
fucking
pulls.
dropped
It
me.
pu-
He
no,
just fucking.
It pulls. It pulls me too. So I would have fallen.
Nice.
Uh,
I
It's
think
because
this is
you
the way I'm meant
vibrate.
to be going.
Ever heard about
yeah, I can't.
airplane
I can't
mode?
safely get you back
No?
up.
Oh, never mind.
There's nothing to wedge myself into.
Oh, okay.
Can be a bowler. I believe in you. Best
All
of
right, we'll
luck.
just get
Thank
to
you
another
so
checkpoint.
much.
Oh, fuck.
When did Chris become a king? When he abandoned his people.
Whoa.
Goodbye. Yes! Where am I going? Okay, this way. Hold on. Ah!
I ran
Fun
out.
fact, this section was
Oh!
pre-tested.
Wait, it was so
once,
close, it was so close.
briefly.
Then
Then
Yes,
the
yes, yes.
tester flipped the devs off and left.
Fuck. Wait. No, restart. I gotta position myself so I don't hit anything. Okay. Yes. Hit something. Hold on. Yes.
I overshot that. Oh, man.
Excellent balance,
Yes!
Flippy. You
Yes!
almost looked competent.
Wait, can you guys double me up then?
We successfully cheated.
Here, come double me up.
No, I'm good.
You bitch.
Yeah, do not be, bro.
Hi, guys.
Hi, guys.
That almost looked competent. Wow. Where are we going now?
Over here?
Whee! No.
Whee!
Wait, sorry. Boost me up.
What?
Come to the edge.
Did you go through the fucking thing?
No, I didn't reach. I didn't get sent far enough.
feel like my
No worries, thanks for coming to
magnet's
say hi,
gonna run
detective.
out.
Uh,
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 Ah! The magnet ran out! Hold on, get in position. You good? Wait,
go.
I need to be over here. It's fine.
Wee. Wee.
Can you get up that high? It's like right on the
Yeah,
edge.
yeah, I can.
Flip, flip, flip. Chunk, please.
Come on. Yes!
Yeah!
Wee. Reach! Oh, we make it.
This
Yeah!
looks easy.
Okay, sweet.
Okay, that was scary. Uh-oh.
Many things, many things.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Ah!
Okay, I'm good. Thank you.
I like
Oh,
how
dude!
we're like safety laddering each other and Chris is just fucking gone.
On your
Fine,
side
it's
of
fine,
the
it's fine, it's fine.
bed. Oh! There we go. I keep getting like the perfect thing where I'm like laying between two tiles.
Yeah. Is he even?
He's
Oh,
right behind
hello.
us. He fell. No!
This part is fucking annoying.
He's annoying.
Why are you fucking them?
That's cheating! Okay, we're good.
All of us are here.
Oh wow, this is. Oh! Oh! I'm too fucking good.
Oh, nice. Thank you. Oh, brick? Brick color.
Okay. Ooh.
Brick color. Oh, my fucking
Orange
G-string is
leaf
gone.
1 was
Hold
here.
on. Orange leaf. Oh, what's this?
Cool. Cool. Oh wait, can I press 3?
Yeah!
I pressed 3.
I
I
also
don't know if it
pressed
actually
trade.
did anything.
It changed the voice line. It was like,
Men
you
who
pressed 3.
moisturize.
Cleanliness is next to fabulousness.
How'd you get through this rope, Chris?
Somewhere, Jeff is
I like
probably
that.
wishing to be blissfully
You're kidding me.
unaware that his phone is being
You
emotionally
asked that, I
dismantled.
literally just see you slide through, you're like, ah.
Goody.
By the way,
Guess where
wiggle
I am,
my
guys?
ass through. There we go. Did you fall?
He fell.
I'm back at this fuck ass section again.
Fucking idiot. You don't... Does that reach anywhere? I don't know where you are.
I don't think there's a checkpoint that we can kind of get him in.
I can go back through the rope and kind of... Let me... Sorry, let me wiggle my ass back through here. Oh shit. Actually getting through this rope is really hard.
Yeah. Make it. Big.
I'm going to kill myself. It's gonna happen.
Just playing a rage game is concerning.
Dude, his chair might break again.
Where I just came from? Yeah, it is. Oh, we're going this way.
Got this. I got this. We got the tech. We don't have the tech. Okay, wiggle, wiggle.
Wiggle,
I
wiggle,
did it.
wiggle. Do,
I
do,
made
do,
it back
do,
through.
do.
Okay, Chris. Is that anywhere? Where are you?
I'm gaming right now. I'm so good.
Hold on, I need a screen sheet. I'm pulling up your fucking stream.
So
Not a
the pad
stream
that
snipe.
the pad that I went on that I thought, has a consistent mobility doesn't. So I got launched halfway across where I should have been put,
Yeah?
and now I'm back like basically at the start of this fucking level.
Where are you? I don't recognize the fucking path you're on.
Oh my god, please line up, you
Oh.
dumb bitch.
Was that your name tag? Oh
Where is
no,
this?
Chris!
Where
Chris
the fuck
Chris
is
10
he?
years away.
I don't recognize these fucking platforms.
There's alternate routes that we could have taken before the slide.
Chris, does that help?
Kind of.
How do I get onto this?
Why are you over there now? Don't come back here.
Whoa.
How
do you...
do it again?
What?
Okay.
You good? You want another one?
Yeah.
Huh? Guys, I'm so confused.
Okay.
Oh, I see him, I see him, I see him. Yay! We did it! Not to get back through this fuck-ass rope.
Oh, that's how. A wiggle worm. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle worm.
There we go, there we go, there we go.
Bye-bye, enjoy food.
Bye-bye! Fine.
Go. Okay, wait. Wait, we go again? Alright.
Yeah, so I was here.
You
That
can control
launcher-
yourself in the air. You can control yourself in the air, by the way. That's why.
Oh, so just don't control yourself in the air?
Nah, control yourself. Control yourself into where you want to go.
Eh.
My brother's putting pizza in. Or.
These fucking ropes. Eh.
Ugh.
Fuck.
There we go, there we go. Yeah.
Snake your way in.
It's the method, look at that.
Every
If
time I
this-
miss you, I get caught off. Caught up. He wasn't the one, just a one-off. One-off. Go, Soren.
We got it. Hold on. Repositioning. Fuck.
Oh, okay, this is something.
Like. Ah!
What the fuck is this?
Ah!
Oh my god, Soren.
Shit, where the fuck are you?
Look up.
Oh, hello.
It's not too hard to get up. Why is there a black hole?
It's spitting trash out into the trash heap.
Oh.
It's not too hard to get up. This is fucking rich. Eh. Chris, can I have a magnet, please?
Can I please get beamed? You
Can I please beam me up?
gotta wiggle worm, Chris. Wiggle worm. Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Yay! Thank you.
Yeah, you have way more control over your like horizontal movement in the air than I thought.
Ooh. Ah. How the fuck did you do that? I was not prepared. I almost launched myself off the fucking platform. Thank you.
You gotta dedicate to this one, by the way.
Huh?
Hold forward
Where are
when
you
you get
supposed
shot.
to go?
Just hold. Just
Ah! Ah! Oh, up there.
yeah.
Okay.
You gotta hold forward. Otherwise, you will not make it. That's what I'm saying. Look at how much fucking aerial speed you have compared to like what you would seem. You would
Yeah.
think. Oh, all right.
Woo!
Okay, let's go.
What's this little sound thingy?
Oh, this is
No!
terrifying.
Please, chat. Thank you.
Let's go. Come back up here. I got you.
Well,
Oh,
what the fuck?
what?
Whoa.
My phone is gonna. Hold on. I'm falling through. Okay.
And I sit on the red applique because I want to take this. And how are you meant to get up this?
Like a ladder?
Oh yeah. I'm stuck. I'm stuck.
I'm stuck. No, 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 no.
No, 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 no.
Okay,
It
so
starts.
that happened. Now let's do
Please
it again.
jump, please
but
jump.
cooler.
Get
Thank
up.
you.
Okay. How'd you even get that far?
Alright, Chris, let's go.
I'm going here first.
Okay.
You can reset. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Fuck this ladder. All my homies hate this fucking
You
ladder.
gotta
This
jump
ladder
on
sucks. Jump onto it.
it.
Ooh.
Jump on every rung.
Okay, I didn't even
Ah!
touch that one.
Please. Please.
Whoa.
Sorry, Chris was about to fall. There he goes.
This
Guys, you
part
just need
sucks.
one person to do it.
Yeah, like me.
No, no.
Wait, what the fuck? Let me through. Okay, do it.
Check this out. Nope. Hold on. Wait, that was a test.
Fuck's sake.
Oh,
Okay.
All right, Beamus. Beamus. Yippee.
Yeah, baby, we got that. The tech.
Ooh,
Hello, Mr. Suit.
this is nice.
Oh my god. As funny as it would all be for us
Oh my
to
God,
all
there's a
have
gap
the
there.
suit, I need to be able to tell people apart. So, oh,
Ooh, okay. Did not make that.
okay. Holy shit. Do not
Whoa.
launch yourself back into the fucking gap, please.
This is crazy.
We're good, we're good, we're good. Don't worry about it.
Reset your thing. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
How y'all been? Busy.
Good. Yeah, busy as well.
Darren's just started to go live again because
Just follow the
not
arrow, Slippy. Nothing to see
laptop
there,
Chris locked.
really. Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, my laptop is back. It's so good.
Which way do we want to go? Up? Like, do we want to go the thin pipe?
There's a giant pink thing above us, and then there's like random stuff over there.
Yeah, I'm assuming we go pink way then.
Well, we follow the signs, right?
No. No.
I'm going long
What a
ways.
lovely view here. Just
Oh,
don't look down, Flippy.
Okay.
That was impressive. Whee! Thank you.
In case you fall.
Me dad's going out, which means I can yell as loud as I want. Fuck yeah.
Wait, I'm on the inside. Wait, fuck.
I'm juggling.
Well, there goes Jeff's warranty.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
Yeah, you were fun.
It's fine. I did this before. I can do it again.
Maybe you can't.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Oh wow! Look at this.
Can we get
Much
much
higher.
higher?
So high. Okay,
Wait,
wait.
I
Here's
got
good.
it.
Here's good.
Yeah,
Here's
let's go
good.
for it.
Yeah.
Chris, get ready.
Yeah.
I was
Oh.
microseconds away from exploding.
Thank you.
Hello, Ivan. Ivan. Wah! Okay, I need
You're
to...
going through withdrawals. Timon, you're so close. You're so close. She's so close.
What?
Shut up, Chris. Shut up.
Not everything has to be like that, Chris. Jeez.
Okay, but if I were to say it, I know one of you would say the same fucking thing.
No.
No.
Okay, bro. Sure, man.
We're Asian. We got more important things to worry about.
No, it does. No, it does not work like that.
Y'all leave Chris alone. Suki, don't defend this man.
Does nothing wrong.
Defending the
Get
privilege.
shit.
Ah!
The expression on the screen is like always kind of screaming. So you went, and then the face turned perfectly towards me.
Oh, I'm too fucking good. I'm not being an imposter. Bum, 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 bum.
Whee!
Ba-da-dum.
Ugh.
I don't know what that noise was I just made.
You're one of
fine.
many that come this way. Of course, the others
Whee!
never made it.
Sanic!
Sanic!
They all broke long before the core
Oh.
could recycle them.
Oh, ignore that.
It's the imposter. I mean, the
good
imposter.
job,
It's the
Flippy.
mimic.
Well
I'm
done.
stuck.
The mimic.
I'm stuck.
So it's this again.
Oh no!
Imagine if we had someone up there who could help us.
Hold on, let me. It's almost safe.
No,
Okay.
you don't understand. It's not safe up there.
Is it?
Oh.
Oh, never mind, bitch.
I'm fucking fighting the devil right now.
You can control yourself while you're magneting as well.
Yeah, I know, but it's like obviously it gets more and more shaky as you go.
I'm fucking wedged myself.
Let the deer out. Oh fuck!
Can you get up here? Okay.
Wow.
You mispositioned me before. What are you talking about?
Okay.
Can you get up here, bro? You're the reason why I'm not.
Excuses. Hello, please.
This is the wrong way. This is the wrong way.
Please.
This is the wrong way, Chris.
Hello,
This is the wrong way.
hello, please. Hello. Oh. Thank you.
Hi, Clet. Whoa.
Shit.
Mm.
Oh!
No!
Hell.
Oh my god!
Help me, please.
Okay.
Hang on, if
Why
I
am
go
I
over
hard?
here,
Oh wait, that's Chris.
this
I don't
game is
know.
called Flipping
Okay.
is Hard.
Beat me up. Sorry, you
And
can
I'm
reach
the
from there.
flipped guy. So what is
I
hard?
think Chris can do it because he's on a bigger platform.
Oh my god. No! It's you guys are too far away. Hold on, wait, I gotta come up. There is a limit to how far down it goes.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah, hold on.
shit.
I can reach it. You just have to give me a second.
I can go halfway down and then
No, it's okay.
bring you up to me, and then Chris can bring us both up.
No.
Come on. Okay, hold on. No, that's not what I
Her
want.
name is so far away. Holy shit.
Dude, how did you do this?
Yeah, don't ask me, man.
Oh, come on.
Do you want me? Do you
Like,
want me to come get you?
ooh, that's alright. Oh yeah, I got this.
Okay.
Never doubt an Asian man's will.
Who the hell is Will?
My dad. All right. Told you,
That's
never doubt a will. Okay, wait. Someone beam real quick. Okay, yeah, I can make it over there. Wait a second.
Alright.
I just gotta be careful not to fall off this skinny ass beam.
You got it. You got it. You're so good.
Okay. I'm taking my sweet ass time here. Ooh. There we go. Okay.
You wanna
I can
off, like, the
almost
side of
reach
this?
there.
Here?
Yes. Ooh. Okay, wait.
Hello!
Reset. I'm coming.
Yeah!
I'm gonna checkpoint myself. Hold on.
Oh, I'm
Alright, yeah,
fucking
let
shaking.
go. Okay. Alright. Beam me up again.
Wee! You're gay! Yeah!
I'm gonna reset.
Thank you.
Okay, now. Come on, dude. I'm coming.
Okay.
Dun 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 dun. Okay, that was so lucky.
No.
Let's go! Yeah!
I got a bit of a suspicious blurb.
Yay, 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 yay.
Now, Flippy, it should be mentioned that this cannon works perfectly fine. You should
Yeah,
simply
go
launch
test that
yourself
cannon.
and enjoy the flight.
Are we gonna end up in that fucking chimney?
You have to be completely horizontal, like horizontal.
Of course, I'm in a suit. Yeah, of course. I was yellow.
Completely horizontal?
Is what the guy just said. You have
Yeah, you need to be
plank.
like flat, flat. Oh, get in.
Are we all going?
Well, we don't have collision. Hi, Hellish, welcome back. Oh my
almost
god,
forgot.
Claire?
You must remain
Oh my
completely
god, don't make me
flat.
blush.
Horizontal position. Do the plank, or else you will fall and perish. Good luck, Flippy.
What you doing now?
I'm trying to get
Okay.
horizontal.
Well, make it, 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 make it.
Oh!
Game
Let's
dude.
go!
The cake is a lie. Don't go that way.
Do it, do it, do it.
Well, I don't want you to finish yet. Is that what that said? Was that what that dialogue said?
Yes.
That's crazy. What'd you send me, Suki?
It's actually hard, like me.
Yeah.
How the fuck are you supposed to get there?
Oh, that's okay. That's the cake.
That's the cake that lies.
I wanna know, man. This thing has stop symbols.
Mm.
Playing TikToks on
Why are
stream
you
makes it
moaning?
so
What the
stressful.
fuck?
Yeah,
Like,
well,
almost-
Chris. Suddenly, Chris is a Game Boy. Okay, all right, we're good. Check this out.
Oh, Flippy, you were so close. I'm
I'm gonna
sorry.
explode.
Okay,
I
we're
don't
good.
want you to worry.
Oh.
So I wrote you this song.
What the
for
fuck?
encouragement. I hope you
How are
like
you
it.
supposed to get up this?
Flippy, oh Flippy,
Okay,
I
lock
know
in.
that it's
Maybe the cake's
hard,
not a lie.
and your repetitive failure has left you emotionally scarred. But Flippy,
I have to
dear
perfect
Flippy,
it.
you must venture on. For young Jeffrey is missing his favorite
I'm just gonna spam space.
form. There. I hope you feel much better now, Flippy. Shall we try again?
Taking this fuck ass song. I need to remove from the playlist.
I have to do fucking Mario. Oh
I was gonna say this is wall
my
jumps, isn't
god.
it?
But then there's no second wall to jump on for the top one.
I think you have to get on top of that one, and then...
Oh.
Why did this just get so much fucking harder? Holy shit.
Yeah, I know.
Dude, we've never done this tech before.
Maybe the
Yeah,
cake
if you
isn't a
fuck
lie.
up, you fuck up. You're gone.
I'm going to the cake.
Ah!
Alright, my pizza is ready, so I will be going to get that in a second. It did
We're
say
fine.
it was hard.
Fine.
Flipping is hard.
Flipping is hard. Holy shit.
How do you...
Ass.
What is the play here? Okay,
Dude.
the hard... Oh, good, Chris!
Oh!
Okay. So you have to jump, hit the wall, and then press S if you're facing towards the plague, and keep
Okay.
doing that. I don't know how the fuck you're supposed to like.
Whoa!
Yeah, like that.
Whoa!
I don't know how you're supposed to get to the top without the second one though. Yes. I didn't give him top two.
I'm gonna do it like this.
I didn't give him top two.
This is really tough. This is really tough. Fuck, I can't get that back one. I need to like hug the wall. Yeah, I will. Give me a second. Dude, what?
Holy shit.
Oh, I'm gonna break it. What the fuck? Oh, fuck, damn it. Okay.
I don't like this section, man. I really don't like that they just did this
This is
out of nowhere.
grim. Whoa!
What else do we have to do? Oh, what the fuck?
Oh,
Yeah, it's not any better later on.
You have to like wall jump.
Oh my god! Oh fuck.
I just do it like that. Maybe that's the way.
This is going for the cake.
Can't be bothered, bro.
What does the back of that say? Ross Burger.
Okay, hold on. I think I know it. So you do this. Ooh. Okay, hold on. That's not what I want to do.
Come on, you got it.
Ah, hell nah.
What?
You actually, there's like 4 walls you have to jump.
Oh my god,
I-
wait! It's a zigzag.
Yeah, and
Do you
you
go
have
across the
no.
top of them?
Hang on.
I think you go across the top of them.
You can't get on top of them though.
Yeah, because the diagonal one that goes up to them goes across. Like, gets to the top.
Are you sure?
See, so you climb that diagonal one that goes up, and
You
then,
know
like,
how far you have to be fucking launched though?
get on top of that one, and then, like, oh my god.
That's so far.
Guys, I don't think we're doing this.
Whoa!
I can't be bothered. I'm not gonna lie.
This is hard.
I'm just becoming one with the plank right now.
Really embracing the life of a brick.
Hey, I'm here to right click in case Junk falls, alright?
I just don't get far enough that way.
I think you do have to, like, jump from out into the wall, and then, like, jump off the fucking wall.
Whoa.
Woo. Oh!
Goodbye, everyone.
No! Come back here!
Oh my god. Wait, you saved me.
I am, I'm gonna explode. Holy...
No! Oh, okay. Alright, you give it a go. I'm gonna AFK for a second and get my pizza. I'm back.
Okay. Fine.
Where do you go if you fall?
All the way back down.
Go back down there.
Glop.
Pull up. What's up, guys? Ah! 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 No! My
I wasn't
momentum!
looking, sorry.
You're either speed running or got here by accident.
Oh,
Hey, all the way back at the start. Yep.
I'm inside a little hut.
All
Am
right.
I'm next to your goddamn yellow paint. Oh my fucking god. Never supposed to fall for her, but shit happens. It happens, man. Alright, let's spy on what everyone's doing.
Oh, I made it.
Yeah!
Wait, that's it.
Yeah.
This was the end of the game. We were going the wrong way.
Well, no, because that's the like true ending.
It
But
did
this
have
is,
the
like, the-
stop signs.
Yeah. Because there's like a beacon up
Fuck
top.
this.
That's for like.
I'll wait for your teammates. Oh shit. I don't think it's happening, fam.
Look, we both made it, so that's 2 out of 3. That's the majority.
Yeah, exactly. We won.
Yeah! Which do you end up, John?
Good.
I killed myself.
Yeah. Would you fall?
I'm in the playground.
Hey!
Let me see if I can
Chris,
get
kill
into the trash
yourself.
heap. Yeah, I'm going to. I'm just trying to get into the trash heap.
Is the trash heap
Wait.
real?
Yeah, I just fell in it. Whee!
What is this fucking song I'm getting? Oh my god. The song Fire.
All right. Do we want to play anything else? Does have another game you want to play?
Should we find another demo of something? Or like an actual game that we have?
I mean, let me
Just
see.
trying to get on Minecraft.
A Sea of Thieves time. Press Shift Q. Ah, yeah, someone else told us to press Shift Q earlier.
I've been
Shift Q.
instructed to read the following. Dear streamer, thank you for playing our game. We
Ah,
hope
it
you fall
changed!
repeatedly.
Oh.
It's funnier for everyone else. Sincerely, the developers. Do try your best.
Dear
Or at
streamer,
least pretend.
that's me.
Yeah! Damn! The message changed. That's so cute.
Your third one. No.
Nope. It's just Dear Streamer. Can you stop
Alright, so
launching
I'm getting
yourself
Marble
off
Rivals.
the trash pits? I don't have my own animal. You have the sexy skin? The one with the G-string? Yeah!
Where's Steam? Here it is. Three-person Among Us.
Stupid.
I don't have Among Us.
The Among Us potion.
Among Us.
Anyone got a game they want to play?
Guys, it's trying to get on. It's trying to voice crack. It's trying to get on Monster Hunter World.
What's on a
Okay.
World?
Guess who doesn't have Monster Hunter?
I have Monster Hunter World.
Oh my god.
I don't have Wilds, but I have World.
I deleted it!
Oh.
That's an issue.
Reinstall it.
Or I'll get you.
It's gonna take
Oh,
2
wait.
million years.
Yeah. Get good internet.
Put
Half an hour.
$4 on the router
No.
instead of 2.
The plonk challenge in the playground. No. Not. I also don't know where I am.
Why is
Is
there
the
an update?
playground
watch Simulator.
before or after this?
I don't own it.
Playground is the very start.
Oh. Yeah, I'm
Soren, please.
Are
Soren,
you-
I'll
are you-
beg,
Are you
please.
begging Soren to get on Marvel Rivals?
I think
Yes.
Shuki's begging me to get the sexy skin back.
Oh.
Oh, this area. Yeah, the area where Jonk is, not me.
Both.
I'm in the high jump
You
shit
can-
now. Wait, I'm going forward. Do I want to go forward? Is the playground in front of me or behind me?
Yeah, I have like no games.
This bitch don't have Risk of Rain too.
Do you
My
have
God.
gunfire?
I have it installed. I can install it real quick. Happy
No.
It's 4 gigs. I can install it.
No.
We have repo?
You actually ate breakfast? Wait, guys. Taylor's just a freak. She eats dry cereal with a teaspoon.
The hell?
Are you stupid?
Hell, just pick them up with your fingers
Hellish,
and
I refuse
put
to
them into your
believe it.
mouth
Is that
one by
true?
one.
You might as well eat it with your fucking hands at that point. Like a monkey eating lice. Suki, you also make fun of her for that. Alright, Gunfire's about to be finished installing.
Oh man.
Hey.
Alright, it's done. It's installed.
Nice.
Gunfire?
Yes.
I'll play like 1 or 2 rounds. Whee! Alright.
Oh,
Play
I'm at
one
your Green
singular.
Army Man challenge thingy.
Oh, I pressed. Oh, when you closed, it opened a Google form. Is that what happened?
Yes.
Ooh, feedback. Yes,
Walked straight in, but then you
feedback.
had to go to the back. It's okay. Chris can drink all the milk for you.
How much did you play? Like an hour.
When you come visit, we will have 4 liters of milk, and it will be all for Chris. Suki, you want to come play
Flippy's
Gunfire?
movement, very good. Camera, yes. Narration, beautiful. Difficulty, too bad. Oh, we did cheat though.
Who's that one in the middle of the night in the head and over the
Interesting.
shampoo?
Yes. Performance was great. It only
It
played
actually ran
co-op.
really, really well.
Yeah,
No way. How
multiplayer
experienced are you with
multiplayer
other
was
similar
amazing.
games? Egging on.
Egging on, yeah, that's what I played. You're canceling in an hour. Yeah.
Overall demo quality, yeah. How experienced are you with similar games?
Suki, there's plenty of time to come play.
Going over it.
4 seems low, bro.
Okay, I don't enjoy rage games actually, but this one was fun.
I also don't enjoy them. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Okay.
What is a BAP? Big ass pancake.
You had Baptiste? Buttered bread. Why is it called BAP?
I have no idea. So you
Where's
get
the
on
P come
Gunfire.
from?
You have plenty of time to play.
Butter and
And piss? Like what?
it's it's like a
Suki,
bread roll.
your kitten's here to come play. Come on. Get on.
Bread and butter.
Bed and paste. Yep. It's just called BAP.
Ooh,
Hey, my voice is weirder too. Your country's weird. Oh, my risk of red person's falling down. No, no, no. We can't have that.
I forgot that I have to Gunfire into windowed mode every single fucking time. Settings. Video. Where are you? Borderless. Apply.
Mine doesn't do that. It just works.
Oh, good for you, Chris.
You don't have to. You don't have to get so angry about it. Fucking hell.
Sicky!
I muted stream. Why'd you send me an invite?
Get in.
All right, but I have to go in like an hour. Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. You don't have to stream. You can just come play.
You are on
No, I
stream though, so
That's.
No, I know I'm on stream. I know streams are in.
Hey,
I really appreciate
I was
it.
on stream.
What the fuck up, Chris?
God forbid I want to play with my friend. Oh my god.
God forbid I say anything.
Yeah, fuck you.
Shut the fuck up, white man.
come here, white man.
You.
Intimacy.
You don't get to say that. You don't get to say that.
Why don't I get to say it? Hmm?
'Cause you're white too.
Not from the
Yeah,
bit
but
from
Suki's
before.
a woman.
I am also a woman.
Yeah.
Suki's
See how
marginalized.
see how I said you're white too, not you're a white man too, just white. Only highlighting the white
but-
part. Yeah.
Yeah, but again, imposter thing. It's a bit from like when we played Marvel. Well, you actually weren't there. It was when we were playing Marvel Rivals, Janix and Zach. You weren't there. We were playing Find the Vacation. It was funny. It was a funny bit. It was a funny bit. And you weren't there.
Okay.
Okay.
People call them rolls. So it's like, does it come pre-buttered, or is it just a bread roll and then you butter it yourself?
Suki, do you also call it
Is it-
BAP?
Call what a bap? Oh, call what a bap?
Hell, it's just not looking good.
Mr. Spread.
Maybe when I make
Why
up
isn't
words.
it just called a bread roll then?
Maybe when I fucking make up words.
Don't do this to me right now.
Is it a dinner roll? Is it a dinner roll?
I'm so fucking confused. What the fuck are you
Okay,
guys
can
talking
you-
about?
Can you look at what Hellish is saying in chat? And can you either confirm or deny?
I don't know if
Is it
only
sh-
things
is
I
it
call
this
a
shit?
bap is the like stuff you put onto like a burger and shit.
Oh!
What the fuck is that?
What the fuck?
You guys are making shit up.
What are you?
Ireland
what?
isn't real. Europe isn't real.
What are you talking about?
What the fuck is a BAP that you put onto a burger?
That's just what the bread of a burger is called.
Okay, yes, okay, yeah,
so
the
buns are
burger
baps.
bun.
Okay.
Okay, so burger
Yeah,
buns
the,
are
the
BAPs.
burger buns are baps.
Bap.
Yes, that's what people call them.
South
That's-
Korean band.
That's so
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah!
But
okay.
that seems like normal. I don't know what Hellish is talking about.
Exactly what you're talking about, but she is phrasing it differently.
Pretty much.
You're having that. Ugh.
Yeah.
What?
There we go. Now we now
I had a bread rolled for breakfast, by the way.
The cogs are ticking.
No, buttered.
Why are you
Buttered bread
having that for
roll.
breakfast?
Sorry, my bad. Bap.
There's butter on it, okay? We gotta remember this.
Baptistia. Alright.
It doesn't
Yeah, I
matter.
see-
I need a drink. I need to get a drink. I need to get a drink. I'll get a drink.
Oh, golf with friends is like really cheap right now. I'm gonna buy it. Fuck you guys. I don't know
Oh,
why
we
I
should
said
have
that.
played golf with friends.
Why don't we do that?
I don't have
I
downloaded.
don't own it.
Download it.
Oh, but
How much is it?
I already spent too much this week.
For me, it's like a
It's 5 gigabytes. It's 6 gigabytes.
Bro's gonna
That
be
good
here
or
for like
bad?
10 years. Oh wait, no, my friend owns it. Never mind.
Guys, I might have to go put more points on my
Yeah, we'll do
router.
it. We'll do that. Also, when you end stream and shit, like download Marvel Rivals, or I'm gonna cry. Please,
No.
please. Don't you say no, Chris. No,
I'm
fucking your decision.
saying
You
no.
fucking dipshit.
Okay, but I am going to put my hat in the ring. What are the
Don't.
phrases? No.
What?
I'm stealing it. I'm stealing your hats by now. Find us
Okay, what hat
case.
was it?
God.
You own hats?
Yep, I have many. Which one was it?
Um, the Dante one.
That's a wig.
It's mine now.
You're
Not a
a
hat.
wig. Sorry, that was probably pretty mean of me.
Is that Noel?
Yeah, 300 ping. Yeah.
Is that Noel?
Noel who?
Noel Deltarune? I don't know her last name.
Her name is Noelle Holiday, you fucking poser! Anyway.
I have not played Deltarune in the slightest, okay? I just know of the character.
No.
I cosplayed her. This is you. You should suffer. You should like dangle your toes in a fucking pit of acid.
What? What?
So what if I said, no, I don't have to?
This is directed to Chris,
What
not you,
was-
Junker. Don't worry.
Dangling toes.
Yeah, he should dangle his toes into a vat of acid.
Can't wait for
Bat of
Suga to
acid?
play a game that I
Bat
have
of
played,
acid?
and I get so fucking angry. Okay. Yeah, sure, bro. The rage I feel.
I don't remember how to play this game.
Oh,
Guys,
these
look,
guys
Headlock.
the light
fucking
flowing
suck.
inside of me. I got the light
Oh,
flowing
listen.
inside of me, guys.
I'm Iron Man.
Wait, maybe I should stop
Whoa,
downloading
my bad.
Golf with Friends.
Dude,
Hold on.